Bong! New AI image creation program paints God as Ginger Infinite Space Cat. Bong! PopMaster quiz comes to TV in a new Morpho 6-episode show. Hello! This is not the 10 o'clock news. Not. Yeah. We're going to do some good news. We're tired of all the crap news. So we've taken some things that are always portrayed as crap in the news and actually taken the stuff that they don't take out of them. And we're going to make some nice stories. Some interesting stories and pull some useful bits out of them. Mark, what's the crack?
The crack is, I'm looking forward to this. There's so much crap on the news.
Got your t-shirt. Got your t-shirt on.
So where am I? I'm
keep for
keeping
best.
it for best. I'm keeping it for. I like the grey, and then behind me
Looks good in grey. I'm proper hacky. Had to be that bag though, didn't it? Had to be that one. Your mum's had hers at the bingo.
Has she?
Aye. Now all the girls at the bingo want one, and the blokes. So my dad couldn't remember the link. He says, your mum took a bag to the bingo, and it's the I'm a worky ticket. She put it. So it's a new bingo bag.
Yeah.
Put it on the table. Everybody started laughing. I like that. Ooh, hey, that's a good quality bag. But the girls are sat there chuckling. So what are you laughing at? She said, well, it's a bit on the mark, isn't it? Just shut up, you. Shut up. So she was pleased that people liked her new bag, but she wasn't pleased that everyone went, well, there's a bit of truth in that, isn't there? Shut up. I said, well, ma'am, if the majority agree, what does that tell you? Shut up. I've had enough of you. Got enough of that at the bingo.
I like that saying. Shut up, you. Had enough of you.
Shut up, you. That's it.
Yeah. So
get burnt.
Yeah, it's it should be an interesting one because although probably a bit like you, one of the stories I picked out was from yesterday's news, which was quite negative, but I've flipped it. So, but do you want to what do you want to do? Go through yours or do one each, or what do you want to do?
Did your t-shirts take long to come, by the way? I think I ordered mine daft o'clock on Sunday night. It was like 2 a.m. So the order went in Monday morning. I got them by Wednesday. So it took a couple of days. Yeah. Which I thought, well, since they're being printed on demand, I thought, well, it's not bad. And they've come up from the Isle of Wight. They came with a tracking code so I could watch them on their way up. So I thought, a couple of days, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, if you don't buy 47 of them, you'll be all right. The ones I got came through the post box.
yeah. That's what was it, £76 or something I spent.
Yeah.
No, everybody's got one. I just got enthusiastic. I just thought, well, have you got one? Oh, well, you get upset if I don't buy you. Your brother loves his proper hacky t-shirt. They're all pleased with the quality and the quality of the print. That it's dyed into the t-shirt rather than printed on top of the t-shirt, if you know what I mean. So it's going to last. I've got me Gandalf the Moist t-shirt on. The one I spent 3 hours drawing just so I could put a moist speech bubble next to it. I was giggling the whole time thinking this is going to be great. It's going to be really funny. 3.5 hours or so later. Enjoyed doing the drawing, mind. Aye. But, so, yeah, I could crack on with the, I think the PopMaster one I wanted to do first because I thought it was the quickest. I'm likely to delve into the AI one a bit because that's been absolute doom-mongery in the news. I thought, do you know what? There's a positive side, and I've been working with 3 different AI programs this last couple of months, 3 months, something like that, because you can download them. People have made these downloadable. Nerds like me have taken all of these things and made them into like portable things you can download. So I'll go over that in a bit. But this PopMaster.
Any rules? So I think you could open by saying, what's the negative stance on this in terms of the news, but then after that you're only allowed to use positive connotations. Yeah,
well, this is kind of what I want to do is point out what everybody else said, which was just, yes, but look at what's happened though. So As we know, Ken Bruce was pretty much booted out of Radio 2 after a
No,
decade.
you're going to have to give some background. I didn't know who he was.
Well, Ken Bruce, he's been on BBC 2 for... BBC Radio 2, rather, for... I mean, decades. Decades. He was a stalwart of BBC 2. In fact, one of the reasons a lot of people listened to BBC Radio 2 was because of him and his PopMaster show, because it's notoriously hard.
Yeah.
And he plays some decent music. He's got a real for radio type voice. And he I used to listen to him when I was building data warehouses for some big companies. It was great just to have on the afternoon. And I would just go down a rabbit hole because it would just be good, easy listening. And the people he had on his quiz, you could see they were like, oh, I've been a long time fan. First time I've rang in. And you could see that some of them was really studied for this thing, because it's become like a badge of honour to get a high score in this particular quiz because it is notoriously hard. Although it is possible to get the highest score, which is like 39 points. But he structured it in a way that makes it hard but in a fun way, and stuff you can talk about. Oh, what score did you get? And there's people play along with it, get their own score, and there was a ton of redundancies within the BBC. There's some more. Hugh Edwards and a couple of others have been asked if they want to take a redundancy from the news. I only heard this yesterday. And redundancy, by the way, means you get a flat 150k for leaving. Bearing in mind that the people that they've asked to go are on between 4 and 500k a year, so a bit of a drop in the ocean for them. But they're laying people off. But they've laid loads of people off on BBC Radio 2, and he's gone over to Greatest Hits, or as Mike Graham said on Talk TV the other day, Greatest Hits. He says, I didn't say that. He went, you did. It totally sounded like that. And this is where people are going. So Greatest Hits is starting to get a hell of a boost in viewership. And what perhaps the BBC didn't realise was he'd copyrighted the intellectual property of the Quizmaster quiz. So he'd made it into an official product, if you like. And he owned the IP. So when they booted him, he got to take it with him. So now they've had to invent a brand new quiz with what's-his-face from Family Fortunes.
Bernard.
The tall Lancashire lad, aye.
Bernard.
Yeah, so he's doing it now. And they've called it 3 in 10 or whatever it's called, this new quiz, which is actually a little bit of a rip from the rules on his show. Anyway, so what's happened is he's gone over to More 4, the spin-off channel from Channel 4, and they're making a 6-episode, 1 hour long episodes for TV, and basically the players are gonna compete to try and impress him with musical knowledge, with each episode winner moving to a grand final at the end. And you know, everybody loves a bit of a grand final, and they'll be crowned the overall champion. And he used to do that now and again on the show, was have someone who had been the previous winner bring them back on. You've got to beat them. But the quiz itself is basically 10 questions on popular music from anywhere from the 1950s onwards. So you could be surprised with just about anything. You get 3 points for each question, other than the 3rd, 6th and the 9th, which are bonus questions. They're worth 6 points. And they can come from a cryptic topic that's chosen by the player themselves at the very start of the quiz. So you could either set yourself up to fail or succeed, with a total of 39 points. Now, it includes questions, sound clips of different songs. You might have to identify what year it was in. And it happens quite often, people are like 1 year out. Can you imagine? You take yourself your best guess, and you're 1 year out. So after they've answered 10 questions, the winning person, because they usually pit 2 people against each other, the winning person then goes on to a bonus round called 3 in 10. You've got to name, within 10 seconds, 3 in the UK singles charts hits for one particular artist or group. You just got to rattle them off in 10 seconds with the music, that tense music playing in the background. And that's been on the radio for donkey's years. And now it's coming to TV, so, I mean, it seems to be ideal for something like More 4 and Channel 4, that sort of quiz show. And it's become a bit of a success story, so rather than him fading into insignificance, he's moved to Greatest Hits, which is becoming more popular, because some of these people are actually moving across there. My mum loves it. Dad loves it. There's a bunch of their friends. They all love it because it's got a good mix, and there's not so much repetition. So I found on BBC Two, you listen to it for a week, you might as well not listen to it for another month, as you're just going to hear the same stuff over and over. And it's even quite often in the same order. It becomes a bit of a grind to listen to. So on top of that, he's ended up on the telly. So it's become a bit of a success story for him. Leaving there has been the best thing. And having the IP rights for this quiz was an absolute masterstroke for him. Because now he's got it on another channel, another radio channel, and he's now got it on TV, so he can flog the rights to it. So he is worried about whether he's got a face for TV. I didn't know what he looked like until he came up in the news, and it's just this bald-headed guy in glasses. I went, oh. When you try and put a face to a voice that you've only ever heard on the radio, and I went, that's not what I expected. Yeah. So he's ended up on TV and radio. He's making the radio channel he's moved to more popular because everybody wants to play this quiz. So they've all shifted. So the viewership on BBC Radio 2's dropped by about 500,000. Just because of that. Just because of him moving. They said, well, what are you doing? Oh, well, we're modernising. No, you're kicking people out, and you don't really understand the reason why people are listening to you in the first place. It's because of the people that you're letting go. And now you're just going to kill the channel. Especially what's the point in modernising it for an audience that doesn't really listen to radio? They listen to podcasts, don't they? We know this. Younger kids listen to podcasts. Even we've switched to listen to watching YouTube and listen to podcasts. I don't watch terrestrial telly anymore. I occasionally watch a thing I've been watching. I might like 8 out of 10 Cats. I might occasionally catch up on that, or the Cats Does Countdown. Might occasionally watch a bit of that. The odd show, but for the most part, I haven't turned my Freeview box on in months. And I occasionally stream something that has been on telly that's put on a streaming service. Like the Channel 4 streaming service, or maybe occasionally on iPlayer. I might watch Top Gear or something, but I'd say that's supposed to be canned as well. But I think it's great how he's taken that, and without having to give him the finger or all like that, he just went, you know what, I'm going to move on, moving to this station. It's a great station. Oh, Channel 4 went, yeah. And of course, we know Channel 4 is a state broadcaster, right? It's not publicly funded. It's commercial, but it is a public channel. So I didn't know this, that the government owns Channel 4, and any money it makes, it has to spend. So any money it makes from ad revenue, it has to reinvest by commissioning shows. So it doesn't generally make its own shows. It commissions them from different studios. The credits you get at the end of the show, you'll generally find that it's a production company that they've paid to make the show for them, and they just buy it and broadcast it. But they have to spend all that they make. They're a not-for-profit channel. Although I think it's a bit wokey these days, a bit too lefty for me. But especially, I used to love watching The Last Leg, and that's just for me gone a bit too. It's a bit too government bashy. I'm like, well, sometimes you have a right to bash them, but like when it's every week and it's for a full hour, just non-stop. No, where's all the jokes gone? Where's all the good guests gone? There used to be a laugh. Now it's not. Now it's just a 1 hour political statement. I hate it. I hate it more so because it's become what it's become. So when it comes to PopMaster, I think good on you. Good on you. You've actually made not just something of it, but something more of it. And think about it. BBC could have done that. Made a quiz show out of his quiz and put it on BBC 2 or BBC 4 or even put it on BBC 1. half the garbage that's on there at the minute. So I think good for you, mate. Good for you.
Yeah,
I'm
nice.
gonna watch it when it comes on, see what it's like, because it is a hard quiz, and I always thought I was quite good at music, because I have quite a good ear for remembering sounds, right? So I can generally hear a couple of notes, like name that tune. I was always pretty good at that. Hear a couple of notes, and I go, oh, what's this? So listen to that. Nah, I'm rubbish at it. I'm rubbish at it. Me folks aren't bad at it, because obviously a lot of their music goes all the way back to the 50s and whatnot, and I've stopped listening to a lot of charty stuff, so because most of it's junk or sounds the same to me. What's your first one?
Grand National from yesterday.
Ooh, I nearly did that myself. I nearly did that.
Yeah. So the headline, unfortunately, on the Grand National yesterday was not on the Grand National. It was related to the protesters. And my question to them would have been, if I'd seen them, what are you protesting against? And they would have said, treatment of horses in relation to the race, horses die. Okay, do you have a horse? Some of would have said yes. And I would have said, because I would get into chunking up or chunking down, which is an NLP term. So if you were chunking it up, where should horses be ultimately? And the answer to that would be they're wild animals. They should be roaming free. Yeah. So if you've got a horse and you've got it in your shed or whatever, tell me you've got the right to complain. It's because you're not dealing with the horse in the way that it was ultimately meant to be dealt with.
Yeah, it's not in its natural environment, is it? If you've
it's not in its barn. So where does protest start and where does protest finish? And we love the fact that there is no left and there is no right. Is there?
Yeah,
it's just
yeah. At what point do you become a hypocrite? When you're protesting,
yeah.
Are you pure as the driven snow, standing there on your protest line? Can you honestly say, "Oh well, no, I don't own a horse." Right? Well, you realise the only reason they breed them is for racing. So if the racing stopped, they'd stop breeding them. And then all the industry that's around them, getting the people that, I don't know, the apprentices and apprenticeships that they have in the stables, looking after the horses, training the horses, and they're treated like gods, by the way.
Oh yeah,
these horses, and because they put them out as studs, so they make money. So the ones that have good genes and are always winners, you get to make money off them by putting them out as stud, and you'll charge them for however many, foals, baby horses that they get from it, or per, shagging session. I don't know how else to put it. Injection.
it was funny because you said there about a stud and having good genes, and I just had this vision of a horse with a pair of Levi's on.
Well, but this is what they do. There's a whole industry behind it. From the guy that makes the horseshoes right the way through to the feed, to the farms that house all the stables, to the stable hands, to the jockeys, to even down to the betting. Because, I mean, let's face it, horse racing's about betting for the most part, isn't it? Betting and turning up in posh clothes to get drunk. There's a lot of that. So you would take all of that away. You would take away an entire industry, an entire cultural thing as well. So you'd get rid of all of that. And you'd also end up getting rid of the horses, because it's like if we stop drinking milk tomorrow, what are you going to do with all them cows? They're going to keep them here? No, because they're not food, because we don't eat them. We eat male cows mostly, bulls rather. And we have these. There's about a handful of varieties that do milk. What are you going to do with all them? Well, I'm not going to keep them for fun. So the farmer's just going to get shot, isn't he? So there's no point. We'll keep enough so they don't go extinct, and that'll be about it. They get shot of the rest. So are you willing for them to all get culled anyway when they can no longer race and they're too expensive to keep? And there's no reason for these owners to keep them anymore. And the people who have shares in these horses are all going to pull out their money, pull out their funding. All these people lose their jobs. There's just these horses hanging around.
Have you finished the positive bits about this story?
I just wanted to get that. See, for me, it's just all facts, isn't it? It's all facts.
I know,
but it's right. So what's the positive slant on that?
Well, you made me think about another one there that actually, I can't remember the winning horse, but the winning horse was owned by a syndicate, and the youngest one was 21. So he he has created some sort of immediate wealth at 21 by being part of a syndicate, which I think is fantastic. You know, and there's been a few movies in history made about
Yeah.
horses and that
Yeah.
triumph over adversity, hasn't there?
Red Rum.
And yeah, you know, Red Rum, Aldenite, you know,
Sugar.
yeah.
That one went missing, didn't it?
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah,
one that went missing?
let's just say he's an extra big stud and got an extra big pair of Levi's on, and wherever they took him, you know, he ended his life, you know, just enjoying himself. Yeah. But the other things that I looked up was things like it had a 500 million global audience yesterday, that race, which was obviously
Wow.
slightly delayed.
Really?
500 million, yeah,
Wow.
global. So that tells you the popularity is. And I just remember really good memories about a family day where, you know, whether it was the FA Cup or there was the Grand National, where you would spend the day, you know, getting round this horse race. And they would have things like Housewife's Choice, you know, you know, you would dip in and get a horse out. So
Yeah, they do it. This is what they did at work. So we're running a sweepstakes. You just pick your name out of a hat. So what you're saying is it brings people together.
Yeah, I think the other thing, you know, I looked at the sort of local economy effect in Aintree. 60 million quid that weekend brings
Wow.
in terms of bars, food, accommodation. You know, 60 million quid to the local economy. And when, let's just slightly go in. So when some of these protesters, if you watch some of the footage, some of the local people got involved from the other side of the fence and started dealing with them in that Liverpudlian way. Because they know the importance of that race to the local economy, so they got involved and how shall I say it? Give them a bit of a slap, you know, and so it was you know the local
treated them with some enthusiasm.
yeah you know, as only the Scousers would know how to deal with, you know. Luckily the horses' hooves are sort of stapled on. They can't steal them, but that's a different story.
Yeah, up on bricks.
But yeah, so that was, you know, that the story about the National is very much for me about its popularity, how it's got a heritage, you know, the family orientated bit about it. It's not about the winning. I picked a horse out yesterday and it didn't matter, but I picked a horse that had a connotation to Wales. So I knew nothing about, you know, I know nothing about racing, but I just saw a story about this horse that had a link to North Wales. The two owners had a helicopter crash recently. One of them was severely injured, is recovering. The other one was sort of unharmed. So you just associate a story, don't you, to the horse?
Was that? That was that helicopter that was in the news not that long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. And there was a few that I could have picked out. You know, there was a horse called Coffee. There was one called Coco, which was Robin's dog. There was, you know, On the Lash. I couldn't help but like that horse name, On the Lash. You know, that's a Geordie term for out on the beer. And there was just so many bits you could have picked. You can't pick all horses, so you just have to go with one in the end, don't you?
Well, you know that there's loads of owners have tried to spell differently or rephrase innuendos and euphemisms in the name to try so that when they announce the race caller is reading them out and they get read out a certain way, it sounds rude, and they've actually got a bunch of people on this body that approves the names checking them out to make sure they're not. And loads of them have been rejected. Apparently it happens quite often. People chance their arms. Oh, let's try and see if we can get away with this. See if we can get away with this. I didn't realise, but there is this whole. I thought there's a whole sense of humour behind it. So that's kind of the stuff I love finding out. That there's a bunch of people with sort of funny senses of humour and dirty minds saying, "Do you reckon we can get away with this?" It sounds a bit like, you know, and we can just plead ignorance if they call us out on it. What do you mean? What do you mean? No, that's not what I meant.
So that was my one and only horse race watch for this year, and it'll be next year when I watch the next one. What's your second one?
Second one. Yeah, it's been on. I was getting a bit miffed, right, watching a bit of Talk TV news this week. A couple of different presenters have went, "Ooh, AI, it's on the rise. Terminators. Are you worried? Should we be worried? Are they going to take over the world? Do you know they've had 2 AI systems talking to each other and teaching each other things? Right? You realise this is just 2 databases. Ultimately, that's all it is. It's 2 databases with a bit of software on top that knows how to utilise that database. I mean, that's all it is. Oh, but what, people are going to lose their jobs. What if they put them inside robots? I'm like, oh, for God's sake, man. They take on pretty much... You can't help but put programmer bias into them. So they basically they're going to take on the bias of whatever database you throw at them. So if you don't want them to be evil, just don't put evil shit in the database. If you want them to identify with all kinds of colours, creeds and cultures, just make sure that's in the database that you're feeding them. Just copy and paste. Don't leave anything out. So I downloaded Stable Diffusion. I've been playing with it for the past couple of months. It's amazing. And what I take away from it is those that can't draw but have a really good imagination and are very good at describing what they want, that's exactly what this does. If you know exactly what you want and you know how to describe it, so if you're very good with words at least, and you're good at picturing things, even if you're not good with your hands and you can't draw these things and you're not confident enough to paint things or to pick up a brush or what have you, you can paint with words. That's essentially what it is. There are other types of AI like ChatGPT, and that's a chatbot. It's also started painting pictures, but it can also write code. So I find that what it is it's an enabling engine. It's giving people without skill, but with the creativity, and it plugs a gap. So this allows me to create images that might have taken me hours to do, or that I'm not quite at the skill level yet. So you'll notice that some of the thumbnails I use for the shows, like the one where the guy's just stood on a street and you can just see the streak of red lights and that going past him. Because I was drawing them all by hand up to that point. And this, I'll have a go. And it came up with that. And the one about where the guy's got these little lightning bolts coming out of his head for episode, was it 14? Was it that one? I did that using AI. Now it took me, I don't know how many goes to get that image and to tweak the words and to maybe copy that picture out and say, right, use this picture as a base and then add to it. It kept getting the fingers wrong. AI cannot do hands. It cannot do hands. It gets confused over how fingers can and can't lock together and how many fingers you're allowed to have. It doesn't seem to get that it should be no more than, usually, no more than 8 fingers, 2 thumbs, that kind of thing. No, you can't have a face inside a face. No, you don't have teeth inside of teeth. And you go, really? Yeah, no, stop doing that. And you've got to then... So you've got to... I ended up writing a paragraph of stuff that I wanted, but then you also have to write a negative prompt. So you have to tell it what not to do. So do this, but don't let this influence you. So don't have mutated hands. Don't make it look like... So I wanted a realistic illustration. So it looks almost like a photo, but you can still tell it looks drawn. That's what I wanted. And I wanted a dude, and I wanted some lightning bolts coming out of his head. And you should have seen some of the variations it did. I mean, some of them were utterly mental. Oh, well, that's impossible. You can't do that. Why has he got a window in his face? That's not where the window goes. The window goes behind him. So I had to describe how to put the window in the room. So it was fun. How is this causing any harm? So then ChatGPT's been in the news because that's getting better and better. And this is a chat engine. You can literally ask it a question. You can go, how do you do blah, blah, blah. And it has some sensors in it, so it won't do some filthy things. And it's been shown to have a bit of a left slant as well. Now, that can be down to coding and that it won't get into certain political discussions with you. It won't get into certain racial discussions, and it won't allow you to talk about white supremacy, for example. It won't, like say, oh, how are white people better than black people? It won't allow you to do that. It just won't let. That's coded in, right? That kind of response. Now, while the database could technically do it, they've hard coded certain kinds of questions or bits of subject matter and things that you're asking it to do. It's like, don't ask me to do that shit. And it'll come up on the screen saying, sorry, I'm not going to entertain that conversation, which is good. I think if you're going to build a proper AI, you have to feed it everything and hope for the best. You have to hope that as a civilization, when you add us all together, the net comes out as a positive. And an AI will tell you that. So if you are very honest about what you put in it and just get everything and put it all in and then see what the sum comes out as. If it comes out as a negative, then as a race, we're doing something wrong. If it comes out as a positive, we're doing something right. If it comes out sort of neutral, so well then, we're doing okay, right? At least it wasn't bad. If anything, it could teach us something if you did that. If you are honest about what you put in it. So what I did was, right, I wanted to prove that it is only as evil as you make it, and actually it can be fun. So it's very, very bad at writing one-liners. Admittedly, I kept wanting it to write fart jokes and it just wouldn't have it. So I asked it to write some moist jokes, and they didn't come out quite right. I mean, they were grammatically correct, but I went, well, that's not funny. Or it's not my kind of funny. So I went, no. So then I got it to write... some adverts. Right, so I thought, well, I'll keep a couple. I think I copied and pasted one out of WhatsApp for you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, I tried a couple of others since then, because I think the one I sent you...
Speaking French.
Yeah. I sent one to Sarah as well that was write an advert about a new kind of sausage that can help you sense the presence of people in the room with the name Barry, and when it's combined with a new type of bread into a sandwich, your farts can show you which people are Barry. And then it said, introducing Barry Sausage, the sausage that will help you make sure no one slips by unnoticed. When eaten alone or in combination with our special Barryzan bread, it is said to be able to detect their identity through a unique scent. So don't miss out on this amazing new product. Get Barry Sausage today for your home security needs. Oh. that's brilliant, and it's all grammatically correct. So then I went, right. Let's do something funny, controversial. So I said, can you write a government warning that tells the public to stop speaking French? It should warn you that speaking French may cause horses to appear in the shower. So I thought, well, that's my kind of nonsense. It's a bit random. So it says, warning! Speaking French is dangerous and can lead to unforeseen consequences. Recent reports have shown that it has caused an influx of wild horses into people's bathrooms, with some even appearing during their daily showers. To be on the safe side, we strongly advise against speaking any language other than English in public spaces or around your home. So I went, right, can you do another one? But just make it sound more urgent. Oh, here, man, stop going max, stop going full screen. So I went, can you write a very urgent government warning that tells the public to stop speaking French? It should warn you that speaking French may cause horses to appear in the shower, badgers in your toilet, and socks to gain consciousness. Immediately cease all usage of the language known as French. Your actions have caused unpredictable consequences, such as horses appearing during baths, badgers invading washrooms, and socks becoming sentient. We urge you to take immediate action in order to prevent any further disruption or damage. I thought, see, it's all in how you use it and what you teach it. And when I get my hands on it, it ends up just being a random mass of silliness. I mean, the other one was, this one was a bit more positive, right? So I went, can you do another variation of the same warning? Warning, speaking a foreign language can lead to unforeseen consequences, from wild horses appearing during showers to unexpected travels and adventures around the world. So think twice before speaking any other tongue but English in public spaces or with strangers you meet on your way. So it didn't write anything racist. It didn't say, yeah, kill all the French. Didn't do any of that, did it? It didn't say, yeah, here, put me in a robot so I can go stab people. Didn't say any of that. What it did was, it did as it's told. Even though I asked it a stupid question, it went, I'll have a go at that. Why not?
I was going to say, what monetary opportunities, and the first one that came in my mind was teaching.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be totally unbiased teaching, raw teaching. Just put all the knowledge in, teach it how to speak, and what the lesson's going to be about. And somebody who's in charge of the curriculum could try and summarise what he's trying to teach into a list of questions. Can you tell the class about blah, 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 and just plug all those questions in, hit the play button, just leave it, and let it play, and then you can so anyone in the class could put their hand up, and there's a camera watching for hands going up, and you can ask it a question. Could you explain that a little bit better, please? Could you add this, and this, please?
Yeah.
Or you could do it from home, if we're ever locked in the house. I can see that anything, however it's used, has negatives, right? A car has negatives. You can kill someone with it, but you can run them over if you're going too fast. You can drive drunk, but look at all the other, positives. Yeah,
yeah.
No, it's in its use and it's in its design and who's got their hands on it.
Yeah, it's here to stay. It's how we apply it. That's going to be the success, isn't it?
So have you got a second one?
Yeah, it's completely contrasting. Salvation Army.
Ooh,
the Salvation Army campaign to wear and buy second-hand clothes. Whoop! So the Salvation Army are on a campaign to get us to buy wear second-hand clothes, and obviously, we go past a lot of second-hand shops on the high street. There's a lot of them now, charity shops.
Oh, Whitley Bay is absolutely crammed.
I know,
crammed,
and it got me sort of thinking sort of laterally about that. So something I did recently. So the summer's here, and it's really for me. It's a time when I start to feel. I feel good all the time, but I start to feel exceptionally good as we're moving into this period now.
Me too. Since the Dark Knights have gone, I've started to perk up.
Batman's going into his closet. The Dark Knight's gone. For a bit. Like what it did there. Yeah. The Dark Knight. Yeah.
The Dark Knight. I like the reference.
And so I did me half yearly wardrobe swap over this morning. So thermals are in the drawer for the winter, and the how shall I call it? My shorts are out and my vests are out.
Budgie smugglers.
Hey, here's a one. So here's a one for you. So if you were to put something in the second-hand shop, to pass it forward to somebody, what would you put in?
Ooh, well,
something that
I recently had a clear out.
Yeah.
Because no one ever knows what to buy me for Christmas, so it's all Batman stuff, right? So I had all these. I had a Build-A-Bear Batman, still in pristine condition. I had all these other Batman cuddly toys, Batman this and that. And I thought, do you know what? There'll be some kid somewhere would love that.
Yeah.
So I went and put it in the because we've got the 2 charity bins out there. Some kid would go nuts for a Batman teddy, and it's in perfect condition. I thought, do you know what? I'm doing that. And then there was a few. I don't know, like I had coats and stuff and things. Well, I don't wear them. I don't wear that. It's still in good nick. I refuse to throw stuff out I thought, well, you would never know. Do you know? I mean, when I was growing up, most of my stuff was hand-me-downs. I never thought anything of it. Some of it was brand names because one of my aunties had plenty of money, and my cousins had all these posh clothes and that, and they were still in good nick. So she went, "Do you want them?" So your mum took them, and then I wore them at the school disco and that, and then you get a bit of street cred. Ooh, look at him in his Fiore chinos and that, and you're like,
"Got his Jolly jeans on,
Jolly jeans on." So do you know what? I'm not opposed to the whole idea. Why not? It's a bit like this place where we get the t-shirts.
Yeah.
When your t-shirt runs out, if it fades, you can send it back to them, and they'll give you some money back to spend in the shop. It's store credit, but I think I like that idea.
The scrap man yesterday when we were in sort of Durham area, scrap man, and I remember that phrase. One man's muck is another man's brass. And so something that we might have had good use out of it, somebody else will continue to get good use out of it. And we get sucked into this brand orientation through the Nikes, the Addies, and the Lacoste of the world.
Fast fashion.
Yeah.
Just buy another one. It's cheap enough. Just buy another one.
I'm pulling out my t-shirts from last year, and they're back in the wardrobe, and it's just I wanna win. I went to here. I told you about that 50 quid note that I got last week, didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, I went into Marx's. I know it's a bit upmarket, but I went to Marx's and I went to the counter and I said to the bloke, I said, "Do you take 50 quid notes?" And he went, "Yes." And I went, "Right, I'm off to buy some underpants." And so I went and got some underpants. And these underpants, I'm ashamed to say, were 25 quid for 3 pairs. And I got them to the counter and he said to me, "Mark, you can't bring these back." I went, "Why?" He said, "Because they're only £8.50. And I was like, yes! So we were discounted to £8.50 instead of 25.
Ooh.
And I tell you what, I forgot to say, I'll get wrong off my missus for this, but if she was to give something to the charity shop, it would be these shorts, because they've got penguins on them, and she doesn't like them at all, but I love them,
They look like swimming shorts.
They are. I wore them when I was rock climbing, and Andre from Balloon. I said, "Can you remember when I went rock climbing?" He went, "What, when you were wearing them shorts?" And I went, "Yeah." So these shorts are famous. I would pass them down. Have you got one left? I've got one.
No, I did the two. I was looking to see if I did do another daft ChatGPT example, but I don't think I did.
Mine's not it's not a national news story, but it's a good news story.
Go on then.
And I'm doing a bit of self-indulgence today. So my good news story is I went to the wedding on Friday of my son, who got married in Beamish Hall, which was very nice. And the thing that it sort of on a good news story was, it reminded me of the importance of family, and that's extended family and friends. There was lots of good emotion floating around, good vibes, and I think occasions like that are really good healers as well. They tend to bring people together. You sort of reminisce on the good times. You do a bit of reflection, and as I said to you, we've got some new viewers on Loose Gadgets, and
we've got some new subscribers now.
We've got some, yeah.
Thanks to the live, which is now more than doubled the views that it had on the day, and we've ended up getting another handful of subscribers just today that watched the recording of the live stream. Yeah. So it's good.
I like that. It was because the other thing about it was my son did a really nice speech where he said some really nice things about me and his mum, and talked about my drive and ambition and how it's helped him. But and then I started telling his mum the story about how he worked with you and your influence on him, and how that sort of supported his sort of drive onto the next level.
Do you know, I don't think I know entirely how big that is. Because for me, I was just teaching him, and something stuck with me since we met up again. Was we hadn't met up in a good while. This was just before we started working with Carson again. And one of the first things you said to me was something along the lines of, guess who's been speaking about it, guess who's missed you.
Yeah. And
I went, oh, it'll be Carsten. And he went, no, it's Carl. I was like, really? He said, yeah. He said, well, he said he wouldn't be doing what he's doing without, you taking him under your wing and teaching him all that technical stuff back in the Pandora days. And he said that you made him feel like you were his teacher, not just a teacher, but his teacher. and teaching them things. And do you know what? That stuck with me ever since then. That I didn't expect it to. I didn't know that I'd had that level of impact. So much so that he still remembers it. I thought, well, I've just taught him a bunch of stuff. We had a bit of a laugh, which we did. We had a bit of a laugh with when I was teaching him to write software and teaching him to write SQL. We did some daft stuff, as I do. You know, you can make a few nerdy jokes out of it. But I didn't realise how much of a lasting impression it's left. And ever since you mentioned it, I've been thinking I should probably speak to him again. You know, probably speak to him again.
And that's
been
the good
feeling
thing.
Bad about it since. In some ways.
The interesting thing about the wedding is, you know, you reconnect to those people that you've not, and you actually say to them that we mustn't let it go so long that till the next time, and we know we will. That's the problem. We know we will.
Yeah, but that's who we are, though. Me, you, Carsten, Michael, the rest of us are all like, well, I know you're there. I know you're there. You're always going to be there. If I just chatted to you one day, you'd answer, right? So, but then there's no urgency to stay in touch neither.
The difficulty is you play on, and this is a positive episode, but you play on the regrets that, you know, we talked about people who are no longer with us and having that opportunity to, you know, reaffirm the relationship. So there's a little bit of regret there that if we don't see somebody from a long time and then they move on or they pass or we, you know, it's like, oof, yeah, it does get tougher, doesn't it? As the longer you go along the road.
It does, and it's played on my mind more, especially when you talked about him getting married and all of that. I thought I've missed a lot of what he's done, and I know why. I know why. There was, I think I've told you about the event that kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't dwell too much on it, you know.
I didn't. I kind of understood what went on, and I thought, well, and then when he said, "Oh, well, actually, he was talking about it," and I thought, was he?
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I didn't expect what you said. I really didn't. When he said, "Oh, well, you've had this sort of effect on him," I said, "Well, I can imagine you having that effect on him." In the powerhouse that you often are in, well, a subtle one at that, pushing someone in a direction you don't realise that you've been pushed.
Yeah, it's about moving forward, isn't it? That's it.
It is, and I didn't realise I'd left such an impression. And then I started feeling a responsibility that, well, if I've had such a strong, positive impression on someone, and then I've left their life in some way, and they're actually missing it in some way, I thought, well, I should feel bad about that. In some way, I should actually reconnect. And we had a good time. And he's another person who told me I was a good teacher. So that's two people who I never asked. I just taught. I never asked them anything. I just taught them stuff. That have said the same thing, but really meant it. Like, oh, you taught me this and this and this. I wouldn't be doing this without this. I'm like, really? Nah, you did that yourself.
Yeah.
I like taking credit for that stuff. So it's been playing on my mind ever since you mentioned it. It really has.
Yeah.
And it's just me and getting round to those things is a process always. So, but did you
in your mind?
I know. Did you enjoy it? I mean, did you have that drink?
No.
You know when Anita said you can have a drink. You can have a drink.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I was. It was a long day. It was what I mean. When this sort of started, it was shortly after 12, and I think it was about. I mean, Robin went on till about 3 o'clock in the morning, but me and Anita went.
You'll have been a driver though, were you?
I didn't have to be because it was the hotel and the function was in the same place.
Right.
So, right. But no, I didn't have a drink. I had a couple of those zero Heinekens, but
that's becoming a thing these days, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting because a couple of people asked me about not drinking, and I just like I don't miss it at all. I enjoyed the night. I was up dancing. I was expressing myself in a way that people find funny.
This is the thing with you, right? It doesn't take a beer to get you to do the things that it gets other people to do with a beer, right? You don't need that sort of inspiration. I'm not shy.
No. And it's I remember everything from the night. Some people were talking about You know, stuff that I forgot. I remember everything. I've got that memory of that whole day in my head, very clear, very precise, and it'll stay there forever.
So that's a win, isn't it?
100%.
I mean, that's a win to
Yeah.
be able to say that, especially
And
given the importance of the event.
yeah, and you know, we talked at the function that Robin's going to get married next October, and I'll be the same for that. You take the whole day and you enjoy it, and just
Why don't more people get that?
I
Like I get that, and I love that.
Yeah.
That when I've been somewhere, been worried about it before I go, as I do, you know, I get stressed, I get anxious, and all of this about oh, there's going to be people, and when I come away, I haven't enjoyed it, and everybody else has had a few. You know, whether even if that's just like a beach barbecue, and Stu's been doing the cooking, and everybody else has been getting ratted, and I've come away and I like remembering that. Look at how that went. It was all right, wasn't it? I was like, oh, actually, that was canny. This was good. I quite like that. Oh, I love this. I mean, I love the smell of the burning charcoal and you know, stuff cooking on a barbecue, and I love those smells. Although you always come away stinking of it, and you pick your coat up the next day, you're like, oh, I've definitely been out in a barbecue and that. But it's nice to sort of go, oh, I can recall all that stuff. So, well, do the people that got shedded, do they not regret that in some ways? Or is that just accepted as, oh, I can't remember what I was doing. I got about midnight, can't remember now. Or why is that funny, and why is that not a shame? You know, is it not a shame that you can't remember the rest? Oh, do you not remember when you got up and did the karaoke? Me? Karaoke? No. You were singing I Will Survive with so-and-so. Was that? It was hilarious. Don't remember any of that.
No.
So,
And you know, you're right. And go back, you know, quite a few years, I would have never envisaged the fact that I would enjoy a night like that, not have a drink. I would have said you were absolutely off your stack. That I would enjoy myself, and I, you know, you never really used to drink much, and I remember Carl's granddad. I mean, he packed in drinking probably around about 50. I can't remember exactly, but you know, I remember thinking about him, and I just thought, oh, I could never give up drink like that, you know, and here we are, and my life is better without it.
That's the key takeaway, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That you've seen it, acknowledged it naturally. I don't want it anymore. Don't want it. Not just don't need it. Didn't want it.
Just think how full my pockets are right now.
My pockets are always full.
What kid told us about the damage to his pocket after the stag do in Newcastle. I can't give the number because I'm not being given permission. But let's just say both my eyebrows went up when he said it. I was like, what?
Aye. Was he down the big market?
Yeah, I was with him.
Night.
So I made sure he got home okay. But you know, when you know, if you're doing that now once a week or twice a week, flipping heck.
Oh, if that's your way of, well, that's how I wind down.
Yeah,
that's how I wind down at the end of the week. I go out on a Friday with the lads or the girls or with the group or whatever it is, and I just like to dance. So I get right. So, well, who did you come on with this week? Well, what do you mean?
Don't remember.
What do you mean? Exactly. I don't know. Yeah. Can't remember. Was it Alison?
Good one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. That was a good chat.
I'm not sure. We haven't got a preliminary lined up. Maybe for next week, have we?
Well, we had discussed perhaps setting you some dyslexia-based challenges in getting you to take the crutch away and actually start treating it like one of your many successful projects. You know, the practice what you preach type thing. And I think, like we said last time, if anyone's going to be good at doing something like that, it's going to be you, right? Laying out a plan that's going to work, a plan that's going to be stuck to. And I'd be fascinated to see the results. And then, I guess in exchange, I should be doing a bit of an autism episode. And you know what I thought? What I thought was, it might be easier to get the information out of me if we did this in a form of an interview. So perhaps you can, if you've got some questions about how it works, or things you've seen me do and you want me to explain, or stuff you've noticed, and create some questions around it to spark the conversation, and then I'll just try and give an impression of the mechanisms that go on behind all that and try and give some insight into it. And perhaps how I ended up at the point where I go for maximum suppression, or I did go for maximum suppression. No one must know that this is how my brain works. Until I found, like I said, the diagnosis was it unleashed all. It was a massive weight. And I've since let some stuff go and go, well, I'm gonna hold that back. If that's just, the way I work, then I'm technically hiding a piece of who I am. So maybe after we've done your project, then we can keep revisiting it to see where you're at.
Yeah. We need to go back to the list as well, I think, and just check what we've got still on the list.
I know we had a ton of good things on there that I was really looking forward to, but we did diversify.
We've gone off pissed for a couple of weeks now, haven't we?
Pissed.
The French, not allowed to say the French, because otherwise you'll find something in your toilet or in your bathroom.
Like a horse.
A horse?
Yeah.
No chance.
Aye. So, could do that. I think the live stream was fun, was good. I downloaded and put that out as an audio on Apple. So our usual Apple listeners are having a listen to that today. Sarah was off on a dog walk. She was going to listen to it. Give us some feedback. I left it uncut as well. I didn't edit it. I left it as uncut as it was on YouTube and just stuck it straight on as is. I didn't put an intro or anything on it. I just put it straight on as a bonus episode. So you can listen to the whole thing as it was on YouTube, including me going, if I press the right button, press the go live button, Si. That's it. Well, it was on you. I should have practiced it over the weekend anyway. I should have. So, next week.
What have we got? We've got next week, and then the week after we've got our first guest, haven't we?
Oh, well, we've got our first guest recording on that Friday, on the 28th. So that'll be out the Monday after that. Then Anne wants to slot in that next week, and then we'll not have another guest for about a month after that. Yeah. And then do them once a month there onwards. So we'll have a couple of guests end of this month. So you're right, we've only got...
We've only got next week.
April's just... You know what I mean? Months just disappear. Jesus. Alright, so we'll do your one next week. Well, we'll set up some roadmap stuff, and we can revisit it.
Yeah.
In a couple
of weeks. Give me a couple of weeks
to
practice it, and then after the guests, we can go back to it.
Yeah, good episode. So we're back on normal schedule next week. So recording at the weekend, putting out on Monday. I'm going to try and get this edited so I can get it out Monday morning. But if I'm up till the blurry wee hours, I'll do it on Tuesday instead.
Yeah.
But then we'll have to pick a day for our next live one, because that's starting to pick up momentum. Actually, the recording of it is starting to pick up a lot of views, so and subscribers. So it was a good thing to do. I enjoyed it, actually. It was a bit of fun.
Yeah,
it was a bit of fun.
Right, let's do it.
And then we've got some other ideas coming up, haven't we, for coaching and coaching related stuff. So we'll disclose those little secret plans at a later date, perhaps next month. Right. So until then, as usual, click the like button, because it really gets us into the algorithm and gets us noticed. So without the likes, YouTube ignores you. Apple, Spotify, all of them are like, nah, who? What? He watched it, didn't like it. So click the like button, subscribes, follows. We've still got a bunch of 5-star reviews on Apple, but we could always have some more. I think there's six of them on there, something like that. Or was it 7? And until then, take care. See you next week.